Hi everyone, my name is Robin and I'm going to talk today about the Zerosync project, which is a proof system for Bitcoin. First of all, it all starts with a big game changer, which is succinct zero-knowledge proofs. And they are a game changer because they allow for groundbreaking compression capabilities that are absolutely groundbreaking in comparison to everything we have seen before. And we are applying those succinct zero-knowledge proofs mostly to a chain state proof, which allows you to run a fully verifying light node, and also to zero-knowledge client-side validation protocols. And there are also many other applications that other people approached us with and that we want to make possible with our chain state proof. And my goal for today is to share with you my excitements for ZKPs. First of all, what are zero-knowledge proofs? Who of you knows what a zero-knowledge proof is? Yeah? And would you say you understand it? Yeah? Okay, very few people understand it. Well, funny thing about zero-knowledge proofs is most zero-knowledge proofs are actually not zero-knowledge proofs. Which is kind of funny because they have originally been invented for privacy. For example, for confidential transactions, such that you can prove in zero knowledge that your transaction doesn't send a negative amount. But later on, they have been rediscovered as a very great tool for compression. And this is the term that many people are using is validity proofs, but most of the industry just calls them ZKPs, even though they are not really zero knowledge proofs. But they're only using the compression capabilities. Okay, and their fundamental properties is that proving is very expensive. However, verifying such a proof is very, very cheap. And also those proofs are very succinct. They're very small. And this is, of course, great for scalability. And two hot topics that have been around in the altcoin industry is mostly ZK rollups, and also the idea of a constant size blockchain, most notably the Mina protocol. And what does a ZKP actually do? Well, it proves a statement about some data without actually revealing anything about the data except for that statement is true. More formally speaking, you can prove for some function f that you know some input x, such that f evaluates to y, without revealing to me what x is. You just reveal y, and we all agree on what f is. And you just say, hey, I know some x that evaluates to y without revealing to me what x is. And this, without revealing to me, is actually also the property that makes zero-knowledge proofs succinct. In the case of chain state proofs, f, that function f, would be all of Bitcoin's consensus rules. So you prove to me that you know some x, which is some blockchain that follows all of Bitcoin's consensus rules and evaluates to y, which is a certain chain state. Chain state is basically the UTXO set. Who owns what? Chain state proofs. A chain state proof allows to compress the entire blockchain into a quasi-constant size proof. And the big dream would be that you can run a fully verifying node on your phone, maybe even on your smartwatch if you want so. And the cool thing about it is that it requires absolutely no fork. There is no activation drama required. And in theory, you need only a single prover, and then millions of people can verify that proof, and they can reshare it amongst each other. And even other provers can extend that can extend a state proof with the next block to derive the next chain state proof. Also, it is possible to decentralize proving. We don't want to become like the main source of truth or something that gives out the proof to everybody else. We would provide software that others can run and can use to extend previous chain state proofs with blocks to derive a next chain state proof. One caveat that I have to mention is that the longest chain rule cannot be verified within a chain state proof, because a chain state proof is only ever aware of a single chain at a time. So you would still have to solve that on the node level. So you have to connect your node to some kind of peer-to-peer network. And in that peer-to-peer network, you would ask around, hey, what chain tip do you believe in? And when there are conflicting statements, like two peers believe in different tips, then that proof helps you to instantly verify which of the chains is longer and which of the both chains you should believe in. We are building the chain state proof in 3 steps. The most simple chain state proof is just a headers chain proof, which is very similar to an SPV client, which just proves the headers chain. And an interesting thing here is that we can already augment the chain with a new structure. We can build a Merkle tree over the entire headers chain, which then allows for succinct inclusion proofs of blocks or transactions at the end. And what's interesting here is that we can augment the chain with a new form of commitment without any kind of soft fork, because the proof can prove that this Merkle tree we have built over the headers chain is actually valid. And this form of augmenting the chain with new data structures is a very powerful primitive, I would say. The second stage is, we call it the assume valid proof, because it kind of mimics the assume valid option of Bitcoin Core, which means it verifies all consensus rules except for the signature verification. So it verifies the coin creation, it verifies the emission schedule, of course it verifies everything that the headers chain does. It also verifies the transaction inputs and outputs, the fees, and mostly all rules except for the witness validation. And notably here, it already augments the chain with a new structure. It uses U3XO as a UTXO commitment, such that clients can become stateless, or in particular that our proof can become stateless, because you cannot represent the entire UTXO set in a proof. The UTXO set is about 5 gigabytes, and that is just way too much to represent it in a proof. The final stage will be the full chain state proof, which verifies everything the other proofs verify, and it also verifies the signatures. That is, of course, the most complex state proof, and it will take us a while to get there. The most simple use case is just to bootstrap a prune full node. That is very simple. You get the chain proof from somewhere, you verify the chain state proof, then you download the corresponding UTXO set, which is about 5 gigabytes. Then you match that UTXO set against the proof. And then you just copy that UTXO set in your chain state folder, and you're good to go. You can run your node just like you're used to. You can just listen for new blocks as they come in, and you can just run Bitcoin Core as a prune full node, just like as if you had synced the entire chain. And this allows you to skip the entire initial block download. And makes it basically instant to bootstrap a full node. This is an image of the output of such a chain state proof. So you get kind of an idea of what that thing actually does. First of all, in the first line, you can see the program hash. The program hash is the hash of the program that we are actually proving. And we all have to agree what the Bitcoin consensus rules are. And once we agree on that, we hash that program, and then we can actually prove that a particular proof has proven that program and no other program. The proof size is about a few hundred kilobytes. Even for the full chain state proof, it will be less than a megabyte. Even uncompressed, it might be possible to compress it further. And a few important parameters here are, first of all, you get the best block hash, so you can identify which chain tip you are talking about. And also very important is the total chain work, which tells you in which chain there is the most work in case of a conflict. And you can also see here the U3XO roots, which are the UTXO set commitment that has been proven by this chain state proof. Of course, if you want to prove now a particular UTXO, like your coin, you still need an inclusion proof in that UTXO set. But you can be certain that those roots are absolutely correct. We are not just building that chain state proof, we are also building a toolkit, which is kind of a byproduct. And that allows you to build custom proofs over the blockchain data. And you can basically prove any kind of statement over blockchain data structures, or like over data in the blockchain. That is interesting, for example, for light clients. If you, most apps currently, they are trusting some server to provide them with the correct chain data. And here you could just have light clients that verify what servers are telling them about the UTXOs. And another very interesting application is to improve RGB and Taro, like in general client-side validation protocols. In the next slide, I will talk more about that. We can also improve the privacy of the Lightning Network because currently in the peer-to-peer gossip protocol, you kind of have to dox yourself and tell everybody about your UTXOs. With zero-knowledge proofs, you could simply prove that you own some channels without revealing which channels you actually own. And you can furthermore augment the chain with additional data structures, as I said before. You can have UTXO set commitments. We are using UTXO, but if you want to use a Merkle-Patricia tree, you can simply build an adapter and transform the UTXO tree into a Merkle-Patricia tree, if that fits your use case better. And yeah, you just prove it, and then it's absolutely trustless. In general, you can compute any kind of index, filter, or any kind of data transform over the blockchain data. And this is very interesting because this way the blockchain becomes like an authenticated data structure that can prove arbitrary statements about the blockchain in a very succinct manner. You could use that, for example, for block filters. Another application to the Lightning Network would be that every 2 weeks you download a proof that proves to you the list of all unilateral channel closes. So you can simply look up if somebody closed your channel. And then you don't have to scan those 2 weeks of chain. You simply scan this list that has been proven by the proof. And this is just as good as if you had scanned the 2 weeks of blocks that you missed. Another interesting application is a decentralized DNS system. Many things about the decentralized DNS system are relatively easy because you can represent you can represent domains as NFTs. But a few things are quite complicated because when you register a domain, you have to prove somehow that nobody else registered it before, because otherwise it's absolutely pointless. So such a chain processing proof could process the chain and look for all inscriptions that create DNS entries and create a list of them, or like create, for example, a Merkle-Patricia tree that is another Merkle-Patricia tree that is unrelated to the UTXO set commitment, just only for the DNS, for the domains. And this is one of the many applications that our toolkit allows. Client-side validation protocols such as Taro and RGB have become more popular recently. And we have looked at their design, and there is a fundamental issue with them because you have to prove to your recipient that the coin's history is valid. And what you do in the original design is that you send them the entire transaction history of a coin. And this transaction history grows quite quickly because it grows quasi-exponentially because every transaction has at least one input, and on average it has more than one input, and that gives you exponential growth of transaction history, which is quite a pain. And that's why we thought, hey, it's a nice idea to just add a validity proof, so you can just compress the entire entire transaction history into a succinct proof. And when I send you a coin, I just send you a proof of validity for that coin. We can modify the original design such that we can process about 100 transactions on Bitcoin, token transactions on Bitcoin. Also, we can add perfect privacy by obfuscating both the transaction values and also the graphs, such that the on-chain data is completely, it's absolutely indistinguishable which commitment matches to which transaction. And so eavesdroppers cannot learn anything from the on-chain data anymore. Also, it doesn't bloat the UTXO set. It has basically its own UTXO set, and it uses inscriptions, just like long lists of transaction data commitments that don't need to be verified on the main layer. Like, you don't need to verify any signatures or anything else. It's just random data from the perspective of the Bitcoin network. And that is quite interesting because we can suddenly process hundreds of transactions with less verification. And another nice thing is that in general, all kinds of tokens have usually the problem that you need the base currency to be able to pay for fees. Like in RGB or so, like if I want to send you Tether, I need some BTC to pay for the Bitcoin fees. In our model, you could pay aggregators who inscribe long lists of transaction commitments into the blockchain. You could pay them in tokens, for example, in Tether, to incentivize them to add your commitment to the chain. And they pay the BTC fees to the miners. So you don't need any BTC to make a token transaction here, which makes those tokens much more flexible. Because if I just send you $5, you can immediately move them without having to buy BTC first. Another nice application of this is that you can have a very efficient atomic swap of coins versus files. Like, for example, you know the hash of some video or so, and now I can sell you that video and prove to you that you will get that video if you give me the coins. And I get only the coins if I actually give you the video. And so we have an atomic swap of coins versus files. That is very interesting for stuff like Nostra relays, but in general, all kinds of decentralized file hosting, decentralized web ideas, they all can profit from this primitive of an atomic swap of coins versus files. Another interesting thing is that we have great interoperability. For example, if we want to have some kind of token from foreign chains, for example, USDC, we could have a perfectly private and maybe even better scalable version just on Bitcoin. We could just pack foreign tokens onto Bitcoin and make them more private and more scalable without introducing more trust. It doesn't require any trusted party. Major limitations are, first of all, the sender has to generate the proof, which might be expensive on a phone. So in the second that I send you the coin, I have to create a proof. There might be ways to optimize that such that it becomes feasible on a phone. But yeah, that is definitely a requirement. And of course, worst of all, we cannot have BTC on ZK Coins protocol without some kind of soft fork that would allow us to verify the chain proof, the ZK coin proof on the main layer. Which is the next topic. In the long term, it would be really, really awesome to have a ZKP verifier on the main layer. However, that will not happen anytime soon. Though it would be the last soft fork because it enables great scalability and privacy, but also it would enable to basically verify whatever you want on the main chain in a very succinct manner. And it would enable trusted sidechains, trusted cross-chain bridges, and all kinds of awesome stuff that people have been dreaming about for quite a while. Of course, it would also offer perfectly private Bitcoin transactions because you can just pack them to a ZK coin protocol. However, forks are hard, and agreeing on a ZKP verifier is even harder because the design space is huge, and there are plenty of different schemes with different trade-offs, and it would be hard to find consensus on any particular scheme. We think the most realistic approach is to wait for simplicity, and soon there will be a testnet. Blockstream will launch a testnet on Liquid, and I think at BTC Prague they will present that. I have to hurry up a bit. So this one is important. The prover performance is the main bottleneck currently. For a full block, we required in the unoptimized setting about 3.5 hours, and it requires about 100 GB of memory. However, the prover is not optimized yet, and there are a list of optimizations that make it much, much faster. In particular, parallelization will make it much faster, and also that will allow to decentralize the proving. For the initial catch-up, to prove the 800,000 existing blocks, we will need some kind of hardware acceleration with the GPU or FPGA, or ASICs. But yeah, the first computers have been super slow, and the same thing for proving computers, but I'm very much convinced it's just a matter of time until it will become feasible. Unfortunately, I don't have much time to talk about this anymore. The takeaways are validity proofs enable groundbreaking compression. This is really a great primitive that will change the game entirely. Proof systems are likely the future of Bitcoin. I don't claim that we will solve it, but I'm pretty sure that in 10 years from now, a proof system will play a big role in Bitcoin. A chain state proof allows you to sync instantly. No fork is required. There are many other applications, such as lightning privacy, scalability of assets on Bitcoin, and all the other nice things I've mentioned. The main limitation today is the proof of performance, but we think that is solvable with enough engineering. And ZK CSV offer great scalability and privacy. And the end goal would be a ZKP verify on the main layer, because that solves many of Bitcoin's problems. Thank you. Unfortunately, I won't have time for questions, but I will be around, and please ask me.
Thank you, Miami, for the last 3 years in this amazing city. The whole world shut down, but Miami welcomed us with open arms. We want to show Bitcoin to the whole world. We are taking the conference on the road to set the stage for Bitcoin in a new city. Nashville. Bitcoin 2024 is coming to Nashville in Tennessee, a city that is known as a music and freedom city. Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville from July 25th to 27th.